Now let's get stuck into more issues with another panel. I've got Liberal Senator Gerard Rennick, Liberal MP Jason Falinski, and former National Senator John Williams. Gang, let's just jump right into it. We've got to talk about the Nats leadership first. What do you make of that, John? Do you think they made the right choice there, and do you have confidence in this new team?
Yes, I do, Rita. I think Paul Toole's a good bloke. I know him pretty well. I've known him for several years. And when you look at his history in the seat of Bathurst in 2011, he won it off Labor, off Gerard Martin. He got almost 70% of the two-party preferred vote last election, very popular in his electorate. And I think Dom Perrottet and Paul Toole are going to make a good team in New South Wales as they go ahead. I like Dom Perrottet very much, and I think they're going to make a good team and work well together. And I say to people, if you don't know Paul Toole, he doesn't have a high profile, give him 6 months, give him 12 months before you make your decision on what you think of him.
6 months, oh, that's generous. I think 6 weeks, that's all you get. You've got to make an impression. You've got to have an impact.
Harsh, Rita, you're being harsh.
Oh, we've got the 24-hour news cycle now. You haven't got 6 months up your sleeve now. Let's move on to China. They're threatening Australia, and it's getting pretty petulant, if you ask me. They have warned of a upheaval in bilateral relations if Australia continues to object to an escalation of military activity over Taiwan. The Global Times has said there would be no diplomatic solution if Australia were to challenge China's sovereignty over Taiwan. Oh, my goodness. Jason, when will they work out that bullying Australia isn't going to work?
Well, Rita, no one has any idea on that. I mean, I guess what I would say is that this is a bit of baiting by the Global Times. That's what they're experts at. Australia will continue to act in its national interest, not in the national interest of other countries. China wouldn't ever act in our national interests, and I don't think that they can really expect any other country to do that for them either. We'll keep standing up for ourselves and standing up for Australians.
Yes, but John, you cannot discount the economic might of China, and they have successfully used economic coercion to get their way. We've stood up to them, but is there a limit to that?
Rita, it is a worry, and I want to point out one thing about China. In 1990, China spent $5 billion on defence. This year they'll spend $180 billion on defence. They're building a big defence force. They have a big population. They're becoming very strong military, and they're using that strength. Even whether it be trade strength, we rely a lot on China for our exports, of course, and imports of things that are made in China that come to Australia. I think Xi is a very dangerous man. I think he's being a bully. I'm very concerned about where he's going with Taiwan. We've seen what's happened with Hong Kong, and these are very concerning times. I hope he's simply calling bluff. I certainly hope that. If not, well, the last thing I ever want to see is a war. But I'm very concerned about his bulliness, the strength of China now, and the way he's using that power and that strength to force his way through Taiwan now.
Gerard, are you satisfied with how we're dealing with China, and can we have faith in our greater ally, the US, standing with us and standing with Taiwan if China's aggression increases?
Hi, Rita. Look, I think we're doing a very good job. We're trying to apply diplomacy as much as possible. Obviously, there'll be strength in numbers, not just with our stronger allies such as the US and Japan, but also I think we need to work with Vietnam and Malaysia and Indonesia and the Philippines as well. And those countries are close to Taiwan as well, and it's not in their interest to have an assertive China.
Gerard can tell you the zero risk world exists in the graveyard and nowhere else. And what we need to get children to understand, what everyone in our society needs to understand, quite frankly, is that life is full of risk. You want to cross the road, there's a risk in that. You want to get behind a wheel of a car, there's risk in that. And God forbid you want to actually start a business and be an entrepreneur, that's probably the riskiest thing you can do. So actually moving away from nuts, which sounds a bit, archaic, like it's this big issue.
A bit nuts.
But it actually is. It actually is, because underlying this philosophy is this idea propagated by the left increasingly, and Jonathan Haidt talks about this in his book, The Coddling of the American Mind, that what you end up with is people trying to create a zero risk world. And what we know from food allergies in particular, we've known this for a decade.
Jared? Oh, we've lost Jared. John, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I think it's never been. When I was in the Senate, Rita, we had a lot of lobbyists wanting to make it legal and have it imported into Australia. I don't even think you can buy it legally in Australia now. I think people are using vapouring, actually importing themselves or buying it, I don't know where. But look, if it deters smoking, and it's not as bad as nicotine and cigarettes, what's wrong with it? But I'm not an expert on these medical things, Rita, and that's just my 2 bobs worth.
You know what? I'm with you. I know of some people who have been chain smokers, heavy smokers, and they've switched to vaping, which isn't good for you, but apparently a lot less harmful than smoking cigarettes, and they feel much better. I think it's, if you can wean people of the cancer sticks, that's a positive thing. I think we've lost Jared there, so I'll say goodbye to all 3 of you. Jared, Jason, John, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thanks, Rita.
Pleasure.
Nice to see you again, Wacko. Jared.
Good to see you, Jason. Keep well.
And after the break,